Dale, are you going to Promontory?
Yes.
Okay. We are below the Promontory high-rise on the corner of West Temple and South Temple. The view of Temple Square, everything over this side, the beautiful range of the Wasatch Mountains out there is just absolutely incredible. City Creek comes up this way, goes through the retail shopping center, and of course up to the church office building.
The biggest project obviously going on in downtown right now is City Creek, and that has really transformed the downtown community.
This is one of the largest developments in the western part of the United States. In fact, right now it's one of the largest projects in the entire United States.
City Creek, led by Bishop Burton, has given lots and lots of other people the confidence to move forward on other big downtown projects. And Bishop Burton has been the leader that has made City Creek happen. He's the best friend that downtown could ever have.
This is evidence of great faith in Salt Lake City as a community, and that others will get just as excited as we are about Salt Lake.
He really cares about Salt Lake City. He cares about the fact that it's the headquarters city for the church. He cares about the fact that it's livable for people who live here. He cares about the fact that it's a vital place where people have jobs and opportunities to learn and to grow. And he's willing to devote his enormous energies and his intellect to seeing that that happens.
One has to keep in mind that this church gave birth to this city. It wasn't the other way around. And just like any good parent, we are interested in the vitality of this community.
The genesis of Downtown Rising was the understanding that a lot of business leaders had, that we needed to unify in terms of a unified vision for our central city, that we needed to recognize the promise of this city, which now it looks like it's about to be fulfilled, and to have the leadership to get that done. And Bishop Burton was one of the very first believers in Downtown Rising. He saw the value of taking multiple visions.
You know, that is one of the reasons I think he has been nominated to be a giant inner city. He has great vision. With what he's doing with City Creek and the new development up there, it really is going to reconnect the north side with the south side of Main Street. It will be a great step in pulling the two sides together and making Main Street a live street again.
What portion of this floor will you use? Just this one?
About this wall on.
That way?
That way.
Bishop Burton is uniquely qualified to pull together this vision of a new downtown with City Creek. He is uniquely qualified because he pulled all sectors of the community together to make it happen in a very non-controversial way.
To regenerate downtown, to me, is the most exciting prospect here, and to bring new life into it. We're going to have a great regional center come back to us.
I think we're too close to Nordstrom's here for my wife's credit card.
I think I have some of the highest respect for Bishop Burton. He's not an architect. In fact, sometimes he kids me or chides me about, Bill, you didn't put enough architecture on that building.
I'm pleased with the way the architecture on that for rent. I'm glad we put just a little architecture in that, Bill.
And so I want to tell him what that really means, but I think he understands. But he has a great vision. And we have this project today because of his vision.
Because of the economy, you know, there has been a sparsity of new projects started around the U.S. But this is one that's continued through the economic downturn. We hope there's a little light at the end of the economic tunnel that we're involved in. But because of its scope and size, it would still be one of the largest undertakings of urban renewal that we're aware of. Darrell, what's on the schedule today?
You have a full day.
I can tell.
The thing about him that strikes me most is a personal characteristic of being able to take a group of people with diverse interests and bring them together to make things happen.
It's interesting, we'll build more square footage than Walmart this year.
A lot of people, his legacy will be these buildings that he puts up and the walkways and the flowers and the fountains. But I think his real legacy is what he's doing on a spiritual level and what he's doing on a social level. He really is concerned about reaching out and lifting up and by doing that, developing our ability to feel compassion for those who walk beside us every day.
Bishop Burton is one of those extraordinary individuals who has the capacity to not only assess a program or an opportunity, but also to assess the capabilities of the individuals involved with that program or capability, and to make decisions as to whether or not they should be supported or funded and assisted by the larger church capabilities. And we're very fortunate at the Utah Youth Village that he made those judgments early with incremental funding, which we had not had. There'd be no way that the village would be here today. As a result of that pivotal intervention at certain moments in our history, the Utah Youth Village now services over 600-700 families per year in the Salt Lake City and larger Utah area.
Bishop Burton is no stranger, I think, to any of the nonprofits in our community. He has a quiet way of keeping in touch. We're delighted to have this facility available to the community, and specifically to those who, before this, were living in the homeless sheltering system. We've provided a housing alternative that has been transformative. Could not have done this without you. He has been a very thoughtful steward of the resources of the church and its faithful in investing in agencies like ours to make sure that the poorest of poor, the most desperate in our community, do not go without. We're so grateful to have the benefit of his generosity, his wisdom, his insight, his sensitivity.
This facility converted beautifully, didn't it?
It sure did. It sure did.
Well, this is another testament of the community spirit in Salt Lake.
One of my roles is to be president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Foundation. And in that capacity, we try to make sure that we are helping those who need help. And like everybody else, when we went into this recession and the resources that we had to devote were declining, Bishop Burton was the first one to say, we must give more, not less, to those in need. And he was so sensitive to their needs that he was willing to make sure that we did not cut back in those places that would hurt people. And that was a very impressive thing to me.
To say it's been a difficult time in the arts world during this economic crisis is an understatement. And with that, several community leaders stepped up to the plate and really dug deep to help this organization and see this organization through this economic crisis. Bishop Burton and the LDS Church Foundation was one of those leaders and actually was the capstone gift for this organization to help us through this difficult time.
I wondered what it would be like to always be on the podium. Wouldn't it be a marvelous opportunity to have 200 musicians out there and a concert master right here? You could just say, you could hear it coming, boom, boom.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else leading an arts organization than here in Salt Lake City and in the state of Utah because of that true fundamental value for what we are and who we are in the community. And Bishop Burton really demonstrates that as a leader in this community.
He is a golfer, and a good one, and he's the kind of guy you'd like to play golf with, just because he is so pleasant, even if he's very much better than you, which in my case would be a real issue.
Nothing like being on a golf course for a little therapy. Brings you back to reality. It looks like a simple game. If you don't play it regularly, it'll bite you. You lose 10 yards for every decade. These guys, you know, they're limber, they just... My arthritis, my bad knee, my arthritic wrist.
Pretty soon he's going to start asking for strokes, and that's when you have to pay attention.
Yeah. Now these are good guys.
Good times.
The best people in the world. A father couldn't be more proud, or a grandfather, as the case may be. There you go. There you go.
The most important thing I've ever been taught by my grandpa would probably be finish what you start. Always that attitude, if you're going to do it, you're going to finish it, and you're going to do it the right way.
My dad's been a great example of hard work. When he gave me a lawnmower for my 12th birthday, I knew I was in trouble.
Leave it in for me. I'm going to drop this one.
Probably persistence and being consistent with things. You know, just sort of making your goal, going for it, plodding away. I think he's probably a great example of that for me as a father, and I've appreciated that over the years.
Great shot.
I remember the first time I met Bishop Burton. He has an aura about him. I've seen him in meetings and things, and I didn't think he knew who I was, and I obviously knew who he was, and I want to say we were in the city-county building. And he came up to me, and I'm pretty sure this was inadvertent. I'm a pretty big guy, and he's a pretty big guy, but I think it's my first ever belly bump with the hierarchy of the church, and he gets really close and personal to you. He grabs your arm, he brings you in, he looks you straight in the eye, and tells you what he wants to tell you. And he dresses well. If he truly does buy his suits from Mr. Mack, I'm absolutely leaving Saks and I'm going to Mr. Mack's.
Bishop Burton is often fond of saying in public settings when something good happens that it's a chocolate chip cookie day. When you meet with Bishop Burton, it's a chocolate chip cookie day because he's a person who inspires, he's a person who lifts, he's a person who understands, who listens, and if you had a lot of Bishop Burtons in any community, the community would be better.
Bishop Burton, here's your chocolate chip cookie. You deserve this.
I think I'm most impressed by the fact that he is a truly unique combination of intellectual capability, he's usually the brightest guy in the room, but also supplemented by an extraordinary social intelligence, where he generally has insights into other people's motivations, desires, objectives that no one else in the room totally has a complete picture of.
My guess is, we won't know what his legacy is until we find out how well we deal with the future. And it'll be largely because of him that he has seen and thought about and then shared with the leaders of the church the things that might be coming and some things we might do to prepare. So his legacy is interesting. His legacy is in the future. I'd like to live long enough to see the good things that will come from what he is getting ready to do.
I found Bishop Burton to be a rock of Gibraltar as a friend. He has got a very warm way of dealing with people personally. To Bishop Burton, you're not just another business associate. You're a personal friend. And his warmth and friendship have always been among his greatest attributes.
Bishop Burton provides such a welcoming ambiance, just his persona, who he is. I think it would be impossible for me to see him and not come up and greet him with a hug. I'm sure I need it more than he does, but he provides that welcome spirit, that support, genuinely caring about your endeavors, not only what you're doing, but who you are.
He has such a big heart, and he conveys his love for people in a very special and in a very personal way. And you don't leave his presence without feeling lifted up.
He is still, through all of this, the same person I grew up with as a kid and a teenager. Through all of his recognition, all of his accomplishments, all what he has done, that in no way has changed our friendship. I love him as if he were a brother. I can't say he is my best friend because I've been blessed with many, but there are certainly none better.